Welcome to IRA's online classes. We'll go for the topic conjunctions. First I'll take you through the rules, then we'll go for an exercise based on the same topic. Conjunctions. Now we have discussed indicators. Indicators, in fact conjunctions, I call them indicators. I told you the concept of indicators will surely help us a lot while approaching all types of verbal questions. First we'll go for a grammar exercise on that topic, and then we'll move on to the application of that concept while approaching questions like parajumbles, reading comprehension, cloze test, fill in the blank questions. So we'll go for conjunctions. Now this topic has some rules. We'll go for the rules in detail before thinking about the exercise part. I told you about the concept called redundancy. Redundancy means repetition. Now in a sentence, there should not be more than one word conveying the same meaning. If it is there, it becomes an error with redundancy. We have gone for questions on the topic redundancy, on the concept of redundancy in the previous exercise as well. Come to these statements. Come to the first one. Though he studied well, but he failed the exam. Now this sentence is divided into two parts shown by the slash. Though he studied well is the first idea, but he failed the exam, the second part. Though is a contrast indicator. I gave you the list of indicators. I told you we should not miss any indicator while reading. The indicators deserve utmost importance while reading. You'll think about the application of this. We'll think about the importance of, you can understand the importance of this concept, especially in the case of parajumbles, reading comprehension. We cannot touch parajumbles, reading comprehension or cloze test without a good knowledge of indicators. So though he studied well, but he failed the exam. Though is a contrast indicator, but is also a contrast indicator. So in this statement, we have two contrast indicators. So the error in this statement is with the concept of redundancy. Now this sentence can be in two ways. One way is, though he studied well, he failed the exam. Grammatically correct. Or, he studied well, but he failed the exam. That is also grammatically correct. Now we can go for only one part as the answer. Now as I said, in the case of spotting the error, it's all about finding out the part, identifying the part that contains the error. And that is called spotting the error. It's all about moving from the left to the right and finding out the part containing the error. Containing an error. Though he studied well, till here, though he studied well, up to here, there is no error. Though he studied well is a correct usage, so up to this part, there is no error. Then if I say but, the second part does not go with the first part. So I can say error is in part B, the second part. That means in this context, the correct sentence must be, though he studied well, he failed the exam. But is not required in this statement. Though is a contrast indicator, must always connect one positive idea and one negative idea. The first idea is, he studied well, which is positive. The second idea is, he failed the exam, negative. So the concept of contrast indicator is completely fine here. Connecting one positive idea and one negative idea. But the thing is, there's an error with redundancy, but is not required. The error is in part 2. Come to the next one. The reason why he came here was because I asked him to. The reason why is a cause and effect indicator. I gave him the list of cause and effect indicators. Because is also a cause and effect indicator. So we have two cause and effect indicators in this statement. Error is with redundancy. Going from the left to the right. Because is not required. The error is in part 2. So in this context, the correct sentence must be, the reason why he came here was I asked him to. Going from the left to the right, the error is in part 2. So this is the concept of redundancy, repetition. We have gone for questions earlier as well. Come to the next one. Now some indicators have some rules of their own. Although is a contrast indicator, yet is also a contrast indicator. I gave you the list of contrast indicators. Now the rule regarding the usage although is, although can be followed by yet, but not compulsory. Although can be followed by yet. So if although is followed by yet or not followed by yet, the sentence is grammatically correct. Come to the first statement. Although she met him, yet she didn't speak to him. Now in this statement, although is followed by yet. I said although can be followed by yet. So I'll come back to it. Okay, come to the same statement. Although is a contrast indicator, must connect one positive idea and one negative idea. The first idea here is she met him, positive. The second idea here is she didn't speak to him, negative. The concept of contrast indicators is completely fine. Connecting one positive idea and one negative idea, although can be followed by yet, that is also fine. This statement is grammatically correct. Come to the second one. Although she met him, she didn't speak to him. Although is not followed by it. I said your although can be followed by it, but not compulsory. So in this statement, in the second one, although is not followed by it, that rule is completely fine. Although is a contrast indicator. The first idea is she met him, positive. The second idea is she didn't speak to him, negative. The concept of contrast indicators is completely fine. This statement is also grammatically correct. So this is the rule regarding the usage although. Although can be followed by yet, but not compulsory. Come to next one. Lest. Lest is a contrast indicator. I gave in the list of contrast indicators. The contrast indicator lest has a rule of its own. Now the rule is this. Lest will be followed by should. Lest will be followed by should. That is a rule. I'll explain it. Come to the statement given here. Work hard lest you should fail. Work hard lest you should fail. As I said, lest will be followed by should. Now in this statement, lest is followed by should. That is completely fine. Lest is a contrast indicator, so it must connect one positive idea and one negative idea. The idea before lest is work hard, which is positive. The idea after lest is you should fail, negative. So the concept of contrast indicator is completely fine, connecting one positive idea and one negative idea. Lest will be followed by should. In this statement, lest is followed by should. That is also fine. This statement is grammatically correct. Now my question is, can lest be followed by should not? That is my question. Can lest be followed by should not? If I say, work hard lest you should not fail. Work hard lest you should not fail. Lest is a contrast indicator, and every contrast indicator must connect one positive idea and one negative idea. The idea before lest is work hard, of course positive. Now the idea after lest is, what I wrote is, you should not fail. Should not is negative. Fail is also negative. We have two negative terms in this idea. Two negative terms coming together, double negation becomes positive. So you should not fail is positive because of double negation. Work hard is anyway positive. Lest is a contrast indicator. Can a contrast indicator connect two positive ideas? No. A contrast indicator must always connect one positive idea and one negative idea. That means lest cannot be followed by should not. Lest will be followed by should. This is a rule. Lest cannot be followed by should not. Lest will be followed by should. This is a rule regarding the usage lest. The contrast indicator lest. Getting it? Come to this one. Now you might have learned this in school, most probably in high school. No sooner sentences. Now no sooner sentences can be in two forms. One is, now you have to by heart all these rules. There's no choice for you. In fact, the rules are to make our task very easy. There's no need for us to think too much and waste our time. We can directly move on to the exact answer if we are well versed in the rules of the language. No sooner, all these rules will help us not only in the case of sentence improvement and spotting the error, but also in the case of closed test, fill in the blanks and all. No sooner had the first form of no sooner sentences. No sooner had subject V3. Now there's nothing like had plus V1, there's nothing like had plus V2, it's always had plus V3. So no sooner had subject V3 followed by than. This is the first order of no sooner sentences. No sooner had subject V3 followed by than. Come to the statement I gave here. No sooner had the peon rung the bell than the students entered the classroom. No sooner than had subject is the peon. So no sooner had subject V3. Rung is V3. Ring is V1. Rang is V2. Rung is V3. It is ring, rang, rung, sing, sang, sung. So no sooner had the peon rung is V3, rung the bell, than So no sooner will be followed by than the students entered the classroom. Now entered is both V2 and V3. It is enter, entered, entered. Now my question is, we need to identify whether it is V2 or V3 based on the sentence in fact. So my question is, in this statement, entered is V2 or V3. That's my question. In fact, there's no need for us to think much. Just write down the order of the statement. The students entered. The students is the subject here. Entered is the verb here. There is nothing like subject plus V3. It is subject plus V2. So in this case, entered is not V3. Entered is V2 here. Rung must be V3 because it's coming after had. There's something like had plus V1 or had plus V2. It's had plus V3. So no sooner had the peon rung the bell than the students entered the classroom. No sooner had, subject is a peon, rung is V3. No sooner followed by than, the students entered. Entered is not V3 here. Entered is V2 because there's nothing like subject plus V3. It is subject plus V2. So this is the first order of no sooner sentences. No sooner had subject V3 followed by than. The second order is no sooner did subject V1 plural. Now we have discussed it many times. It's always do, does, did, may, might, can, could, must, should, have to, need to, ought to, has to, had to, will, shall, would. All these plus V1 plural always. So no sooner did subject V1 plural. So always did plus V1 plural. There's nothing like did plus V2, nothing like did plus V3. It's always did plus V1 plural. That means no matter whether the subject is singular or plural, it must be did plus V1 plural. He didn't go. They didn't go. I didn't go. We didn't go, etc. Didn't go is did plus V1 plural. So no sooner did subject V1 plural followed by than. So this is the second order of no sooner sentences. Now we'll frame the same idea in the second form. No sooner did the peon ring the bell. So no sooner than did. Subject is the peon. Ring is V1 plural. V1 plural because no S, no ES, no IS. So no sooner did the peon ring the bell is no sooner did subject V1 plural followed by than. Yes. Then the students entered the classroom. The students is the subject here. Entered is V2. As I said, there's nothing like subject plus V3. It's subject plus V2. So no sooner did the peon ring the bell than the students entered the classroom. So these are the two orders of no sooner sentences. Now both the sentences mean the same. The same meaning, the only thing is expressed in two different forms. That's the only difference. So no sooner had subject V3 followed by than. No sooner did subject V1 plural followed by than. So this is about no sooner sentences. Come to the statements. No sooner the teacher had come, comma, slash, than the entire class became silent. Now my question is, this statement is grammatically correct or not? If it is wrong, which part contains the error? Whether it is part 1 or part 2. We'll go from the beginning, examining the whole statement. No sooner the teacher had come. No sooner, the teacher is the subject. Had come is V3. Because had plus V3. So this statement is in the order no sooner subject had V3. There is no structure like no sooner subject had V3. It is always no sooner had subject V3. That is the rule. That is the order, correct order, the structure. This sentence is in the order no sooner subject had V3. And as I said, there is no structure like no sooner subject had V3. It is no sooner had subject V3. This statement is grammatically wrong and the error is in part 1. Now in fact, the correct statement here must be no sooner had the teacher come. No sooner had the teacher come. So no sooner had, subject is the teacher plus come plus V3. Now the whole statement is grammatically correct. Now come to the second part. No sooner will be followed by than. No sooner had the teacher come than, completely fine. The entire class became silent. The entire class is the subject here plus became is V2. Become is V1, became is V2, become is V3. Become, became, become, come, came, come. So the sentence started in the past, ended in the past, tense constancy is there, grammatically correct. Come next one. No sooner had the teacher come. The correct statement mentioned here. No sooner had, subject is a teacher, come is V3, no sooner followed by than, the entire class became silent, the entire class is subject here, became is V2, grammatically correct. Come to the next one. The same idea will frame in the second form. No sooner did subject V1 plural followed by than. No sooner did the teacher come than the entire class became silent. No sooner did, the teacher is the subject here. In this statement, come is not V3 because there's nothing like did plus V3. It's always did plus V1 plural. So come in this statement is V1 plural. And it is plural because no S, no ES, no IS. No sooner did the teacher come than the entire class became silent. The entire class is subject here, became is V2. These two sentences mean the same. The only thing is expressed in two different forms. No sooner did the teacher come than the entire class became silent. So that's it about no sooner sentences. Come next one, hardly, scarcely sentences. Now the rule regarding no sooner sentences and hardly, scarcely sentences, the rule regarding no sooner sentences and the rule regarding hardly, scarcely sentences are almost the same. The only difference is no sooner will be followed by than, hardly and scarcely will be followed by when. That is the only difference, the rest remain the same. Now come to the first order of hardly, scarcely sentences. The same as no sooner sentences, the only difference is than and when. Hardly or scarcely had subject V3 followed by when. Hardly or scarcely had subject V3 followed by when. Till here remains the same, right? Up to this part it's the same as no sooner sentences. The only difference is will be followed by when. Now we'll frame the same idea, the same idea in the hardly form. Hardly had the peon rung the bell when the students entered the classroom. So hardly had, subject is the peon, rung is V3 and hardly will be followed by when. Then the students entered the classroom. The students is the subject here. Entered is V2 because it's always subject plus V2. Hardly had the peon rung the bell when the students entered the classroom. This statement is grammatically correct. So this is one order of hardly, scarcely sentences. Hardly or scarcely had subject V3 followed by when. The other one, the second one, this is the first one. The second one is the same as no sooner sentences, but the difference is than and when. Hardly or scarcely did subject V1 plural followed by when. Hardly or scarcely did subject V1 plural followed by when. So the same idea in the hardly did form becomes hardly did the peon ring the bell when the students entered the classroom. So hardly did, subject is the peon, ring is V1 plural, no S, no ES, no IS. Hardly followed by when, the students is subject here, entered is V2. Hardly did the peon ring the bell when the students entered the classroom, grammatically correct. So these are the two orders of hardly, scarcely sentences. I can replace hardly with scarcely. There's no much difference in that. So these two are the orders of hardly, scarcely sentences. Getting it? Come to these two. Who was that student? Question mark. Who that student was? Question mark. Two more there. They asked me who that student was, full stop. They asked me who was the student, full stop. So the question is, which of these four sentences is so are grammatically correct? I have told you this rule earlier as well. If it is an interrogative sentence, now every interrogative sentence ends with a question mark. Come to the first two. I told you this. If it is an interrogative sentence, the auxiliary verb must appear before the noun or pronoun. We have done questions. We have gone for questions based on this rule in the previous exercises. So if it is an interrogative sentence, the auxiliary verb must always appear before the noun or pronoun. If it is not an interrogative sentence, the auxiliary verb must appear after the noun or pronoun. This is the rule we discussed. So if it is interrogative, the auxiliary verb must appear before the noun or pronoun. If it is not interrogative, the auxiliary verb must appear after the noun or pronoun. Come to the first two sentences. The first two are interrogative sentences because they end with a question mark. I say the first one is grammatically correct, the second one is grammatically wrong. Come to the first one. Who was that student? Question mark, interrogative. That student is the noun here. Was is the auxiliary verb. The auxiliary verb is coming before the noun. This is an interrogative sentence. The auxiliary verb must come before the noun or pronoun. This is interrogative. The auxiliary verb is coming before the noun, so grammatically correct. Come to the second one. Who that student was? Question mark, interrogative. That student is the noun here. Was is the auxiliary verb. The auxiliary verb is coming after the noun. The auxiliary verb can come after the noun only if it is not an interrogative sentence. This is an interrogative sentence. The auxiliary verb is coming after the noun, so grammatically wrong. Come to the next one. They asked me who that student was. Full stop. This is not interrogative. Simple reason is it is not ending with a question mark. It is ending with a full stop. Every interrogative sentence must start with a question word, must end with a question mark. This sentence is starting with they. They is not a question word. It is not ending with a question mark. It is ending with a full stop. So it is not interrogative. And if it is not interrogative, as I said, the auxiliary verb must come after the noun or pronoun. Come to the statement now. They asked me who that student was, full stop, not interrogative. That student is a noun here. Was is the auxiliary verb. The auxiliary verb is coming after the noun. It is not interrogative. The auxiliary verb is coming after the noun, so grammatically correct. Come to the next one. They asked me who was that student, full stop, not interrogative. That student is a noun here. Was is the auxiliary verb. The auxiliary verb is coming before the noun. The auxiliary verb can come before the noun only if it is an interrogative statement. This is not interrogative, so grammatically. So when you find interrogative statement and non-interrogative statement, these are the rules to be kept in mind. Got it? Come to the next one. Not only but also, either or, neither nor. As you know, not only will be followed by but also. Either will be followed by or, neither will be followed by nor. And these three are support indicators. I gave in the list of support indicators. Now, we have discussed a rule regarding these usages in subject-verb agreement. What was that? When you find a relationship between two entities using not only but also, either or, neither nor, focus only on the second subject. That's the rule we discussed regarding these usages in subject-verb agreement. Now these usages have one more rule. Now I've gone for some sentences here. I'll explain these sentences. So which of these is or are grammatically correct? That's what we need to find out. He not only teaches English but also mathematics. He speaks not only English but also Hindi. You must either tell me a story or take me to a park. You must tell me either a story or take me to a park. He not only plays football but also cricket. He plays not only football but also cricket. So as I said, we need to find out which of these is or are grammatically correct. Come to the first one once again. He not only teaches English but also mathematics. I say this statement is grammatically wrong. The next one. He speaks not only English but also Hindi. I say grammatically correct. I'll explain. You must either tell me a story or take me to a park. I say grammatically correct. You must tell me either a story or take me to a park. I say it is grammatically wrong. He not only plays football but also cricket. Grammatically wrong. He plays not only football but also cricket. Grammatically correct. Now I told you the first thing is trying to understand the meaning of a sentence. Only then we should think about the rule. Come to the first one. I said grammatically wrong. Understand the meaning of it. He not only teaches English but also mathematics. How many actions are there in this statement? How many actions are here? There's only one action in this sentence, that is teaches. There's only action here. And this action is related to two entities. one is English and the other one is mathematics. So there's only one action in this sentence related to two entities. Now the rule is this, listen, when there is only one action related to two entities, not only but also either or neither nor must connect those two entities. I repeat, when there is only one action related to two entities, these usages must connect those two entities. That is a rule. Now come to the first statement once again. There is only one action here, that is teaches, and related to two entities, one is English, other one is mathematics. So not only but also must connect those two entities. So in this case, the correct sentence must be, he teaches not only English but also mathematics. He teaches not only English but also mathematics. One action, two entities. So not only but also must connect those two entities. He teaches not only English is the first entity, but also mathematics is the second entity. Not only but also is connecting those two entities. Now this statement is grammatically correct. Come to the second one. He speaks not only English but also Hindi. How many actions are here? There's only one action, that is speaks, and related to two entities. One is English and the other one is Hindi. One action, two entities. Not only but also must connect those two entities. He speaks not only English is the first entity, but also Hindi is the second entity. Not only but also is connecting the two entities. This statement is grammatically correct. Come to the next one. I said it's grammatically correct. You must either tell me a story or take me to a park. How many actions are there in this sentence? Two actions. One is tell me a story and the other one is take me to a park. We have two actions in this sentence. When there are two actions, not only but also either or neither nor must connect those two actions. When there's only one action related to two entities, these usages must connect those two entities. When there are two actions, these usages must connect those two actions. Now come to the statement once again, the third sentence. You must either tell me a story or take me to a park. We have two actions here. One is tell me a story, the other one is take me to a park. So either or must connect those two actions. Come to the same statement. You must either tell me a story is the first action or take me to a park is the second action. So either or is connecting the two actions, grammatically correct. So the next one is grammatically wrong. Come to the last but one sentence. He not only plays football but also cricket. We have only one action here, that is plays, and related to two entities. One is football and the other one is cricket. One action, two entities. Not only but also must connect those two entities. So in this case, the correct sentence must be, he plays not only football but also cricket. Come to the last one. He plays not only football but also cricket. Only action is plays. And related to entities, as I said, not only but also must connect those two entities. He plays not only football is the first entity, but also cricket is the second entity. Not only but also is connecting the two entities, grammatically correct. So when you find any of these usages in a sentence, just think about this rule. Clear?